Hi everybody, welcome back once again to the Eastfield Gunroom YouTube channel. Today we've got a Benelli to look at. But before we do that, if you haven't already clicked like and you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do that now because it does help us bring you content like this. Regular viewers of the channel will remember a few weeks back we looked at the Camo M2 when I could find it. And I said in that video, I didn't think that would be the first time that we showed you Benelli. Now, the gun I'm going to show you today is the gun I'd pinpointed to be the Benelli Premier. It didn't work out like that, so we're having a look at it today. So, this is the Benelli Supersport. This is a current model. You can still get one of these today. I believe the gun we're looking at today is about 4 or 5 years old. And it's the absolute top line in terms of Benelli competition shotguns. It's designed specifically for clay shooting. It utilizes a completely different action to the gun we looked at before, which was the M2, which was a Montefeltro action. There are so many clever features with this gun, and we're going to look at them today. The first thing you will notice is, again, it is synthetic. Yep, it's absolutely synthetic. This gun was launched, I believe, now about 25 years ago. It's quite an old design. We say old design, you know, obviously, if something works, you don't change it radically. Like I said, this gun is still the same as it's available today. At the time, it kind of broke the mold of standard black plastic autos, camo autos, and it was designed, like I said, specifically for the clay shooting market. Now, what it does is this model is the Raffaello. So going back a little bit of history, I believe the two models, the two action designs that Benelli use today, Montefeltro and Raffaello, are both something to do with famous, I believe, artists in the area of Urbino, where these are manufactured in Italy. Just to touch on it briefly, these are part of the Beretta group. And nowadays, certainly in the UK, because of that and because of the work the GMK, the guys down there do, they've made the whole range a lot more accessible. And we've got a big following here in the UK, as I'm 99% certain they're very popular in the States also. Brushed finish action, really cool. You know, you can see just by looking at this gun, it oozes quality, all of the finish. It looks high-end, it looks premium. So this is the Raffaello action, and basically what that is, it's two-piece, it's field strippable. Because of that, it costs a lot more money because there's a lot more that goes into it than the Montefeltros and the M2 model we looked at. And the idea behind this is obviously with Benelli, it's maintenance-free. We've got no gas parts, we've got no, consumable internals. We talked last time, it's basically a recoil spring in the stop, which drives the action. It's inertia driven, which is very clever. Have a look at this. Fore and off, like I say, with the M2, it's exactly the same. You've got a magazine tube with a crimp on it, no gas parts, nothing to get crudded up, no piston cups. You know, I love a piston cup joke. Barrel off, and take a look at this. So the complete lid, if you like, of the action comes off, and then the whole bolt assembly slides out like that. So from a maintenance point of view, you cannot get any better than that. If you've got a standard Benelli Montefeltro or a Beretta or a Browning and you want to get into the internals, what you've got to do is you've got to knock these pins out, take the trigger guard out. It's just a complete faff. With these, the whole thing literally drops to pieces in seconds. So if we have a look inside, we've got a little spring-loaded plunger in the back, which you'll see obviously on the close-ups. And the thing with that is the little rat's tail, like Ratatouille, fits in there. Slides backwards and forwards. Obviously, this is all coated, it's all chrome. We've got a rotating bolt head, and then the top of the action, the two-piece bit, just slides onto there. So from a maintenance point of view, you can get in there, you can have a squirt, you can get in all the nooks and crannies with your oil and your lubricants and your cleaners. And ultimately, if you do want to take the trigger, the whole trigger assembly out, you can do, but you don't need to, because when you're in there, the whole thing is exposed. So that is why this gun is the top of the line in terms of what Benelli produce. The Raffaello action, they've got a whole range of guns. I believe currently Benelli have sort of 120 different options of semi-auto. Obviously that includes different barrel lengths, different finishes, different types of barrels, etc. But this one, like I said, out and out competition gun designed for the UK. Very popular. I've had hundreds of these through my hands over the years. And because of the way the inertia system works, there is nothing to go wrong. These are literally as reliable as you can get. Yes, you've got to remember and take into account light load cartridges, etc. But all semi-autos don't like light load cartridges with very small heads. 24 grams, 70 mil, etc. No problem whatsoever. And I've even known these on occasion to shoot 21 gram 65mm cartridges. So finishing off with the action, we've got the nice contrast. We've got the blue top with the brushed finish. We've got a black trigger guard in this kind of funky shape, which is some kind of polycarbonate, I would have thought. Push button on the side, nice big bolt. Remember we did the Beretta A400 XL Black Edition video, which you got the kind of bigger bolt release, bigger handle. You can get what's called performance parts for a Benelli if you already own one of these guns. Move on to that barrel, because it's a semi-auto, we only got one. And more technology. I don't know whether I touched on this with the M2 video, because there's actually more technology in this particular barrel. This is one of Benelli's cryo barrels. So what Benelli do is they take all of their barrels and they cryogenically freeze them in big freezers overnight. I've been to the factory, I've seen it. And what that does is it means that when the barrel gets hot, you get less deformation in the shot, you get less movement in the metal because it's already been frozen and obviously affected the molecules and all the sciencey kind of stuff. Very, very clever stuff. So this gun has got a 30-inch barrel. They are available in 28-inch. Again, we've touched on this in previous videos. Just remember that a 30-inch semi-auto is quite a long gun. It's longer than a conventional kind of 32-inch over and under because of the length of the action, increased length of the action. What we've got as well, as in terms of a clay shooting attribute on this, we've got a step rib, we've got a center bead, and you'll notice the holes in the end of the barrel. That's not me with my Dremel, that's actually factory porting. Now, I've been racking my brain to think if we've looked at porting before on the channel. I've concluded we have. We looked at the Beretta 682 Supersport some time ago. Obviously, remember the idea behind porting is to reduce muzzle flip and stop the gun going up at the front. Probably more important with a semi-auto, particularly a gun like this. Again, we've got no gassed part, so this is quite a lightweight gun. It weighs just over 7 pounds, I think 7 pounds 3 ounces. And on a gun like this, you are going to get a little degree of muzzle flip. To finish off, we have got cryo choke system, which is a very long choke that's extended. Again, it just kind of looks the part. It's quite modern looking from the clay shooting point of view, with the ported barrel, with the step rib. It's a tapered rib, which looks about 10 by 8, something like that. Don't quote me on that. Obviously, high performance steel proof, 3-inch chambers. And one thing I don't normally talk about, because I probably forget sometimes, it's chrome lined. Don't forget that 90% of guns that are being manufactured today, both the chambers and the barrels are chrome lined. You shouldn't have any problems with any kind of pitting. There are older guns where the chambers in particular aren't chrome lined, and they do need a little bit more care. So I'll put that together. Like I said, absolute child's play with this two-piece action. Just make sure your rat's tail's firmly in place, put your lid on, put your barrel on, away you go. Okay, so there it is, back together. And we move on to the furniture. Now, this gun has got a synthetic stock. It's got the Comfortech system, the same as the M2 we looked at, which basically means it's got the chevrons running through the stock, and that's designed to reduce felt recoil. You've got the Technogel comb on the top. Again, you can get different types of these. You can get a Monte Carlo, big one, small one, some as big as your head, okay? And that moves on to the back. We've also got the Comfortech pad. Now, the Comfortech pad is available in different lengths. In its standard form with this 25mm pad, we have got 14.5 inches. Like we touched on in the Benelli M2 video, the Comfortech pad is very, very easy to remove. You literally, you just put the barrel on your foot and just literally pull it off. Like, there's no screws involved, there's no little fiddly catches. It's such clever stuff. And if we look inside there, we've got the stock bolt with the shims. Again, you get the shimming system to drop the stock, cast the stock, etc. So it's a very versatile thing. You can play around with everything in terms of the stock, the length, the height, the drop, the cast, which again, from the kind of demanding clay shooter of today, that's what they want, that's what they expect. One thing to point out also, these Comfortech pads, which I think I mentioned before, are dearer than gold bullion. They also do handed ones, so they are actually contoured, the pad, so you get a right-handed one or a left-handed one. Now what they've done is they've gone from a standard plastic finish, they've put this really smart looking carbon fibre trim. We've got this quite cool checkering pattern. It's not too skinny in the grip. If you've got quite a big hand, you should still be able to get on with this not too badly at all. This long forend, it's a sporting style forend, but it's got the recess in it, which is largely to do with the fact that there's no working parts in here, and it's a better design. It doesn't need to be a big chunky design like something like a Beretta or a Remington, because ultimately the reason they're big and fat is because there's stuff going on underneath. Remember, this is that clever. There's just the magazine tube, nothing else at all. And of course, if you look at the bit poking out the front, that's for the sling swivels, because again, Semi-auto is very popular on the continent for hunting, and it's as standard. This is what you'll get if you buy a Benelli, regardless of the fact that it's more of a kind of a clay shooting model, if you like. In terms of the feel of the gun, they don't half move. I mean, even though it's a big gun, long gun, if you've ever shot one of these, you will know how pointable it is. And we talked briefly about the inertia driven system again. Like I said before, I think in the Benelli M2 video, it's a different sensation. It's not recoil, but there's a bit more movement. So people say, oh, does a Benelli kick more than a Beretta? Do I need a Beretta? The answer is they're just different. You need to go out and try one, and then you'll know exactly what I'm talking about and experience the sensation of when you're pulling the trigger on a Benelli with the inertia-driven system versus when you go out with a Beretta with a gas operation. Like I said, the idea behind it is a clay shooting gun. I do know people that have shot pigeons and things like this. Just bear in mind with the ported barrels, they can be a little bit noisy in kind of enclosed, confined spaces. And with most cases here in the UK, although there are dedicated semi-auto shoots where you can have full use of the gun, you can have 3 shots, 90% of the time, even more than that, if you go to a standard playground, you will only be permitted to be using 2 cartridges. That is just how it is. There are the facts. Another point to point out, even though this has got a synthetic stock, which of course is all weatherproof, I wouldn't recommend hosing any kind of gun down after use. Just before we go on to the box, like I have touched on before, here in the UK, Benelli is regarded as the premium brand of semi-automatic, and I believe elsewhere in the world, no questions. And because of that, if you buy one here in the UK, you get a minimum 10-year manufacturer's warranty. I believe that now with some of the new coatings, they've got like a Cerakote coating, one of their latest innovations. They actually now offer a 25-year warranty on that coating. You've got to be impressed by that. Right, onto the case. Same case as the M2. If you buy one of the higher grade Raffaellos, there are certain models which just fit in different types of boxes better. They do different cases. They're not all these that look like a little chunky suitcase. Right, sliding locks. And we look inside. Standard egg box foam. I love stuff like this. We've got Benelli carrier bags, look. Remember, carrier bags are not a toy. Choke key. Looks like Mickey Mouse has had an accident. Obviously, we'll show you that in the close-ups. Here we've got some Benelli oil. You might wonder why I keep saying Benelli like that, but there is a guy on YouTube, an American trick shooter called Tom Knapp. You've got to watch him. This man is superb. Shoots his cartridges, shoots his lunchbox, shoots his shoelaces. Check it out. Shims, boring plastic bits of stuff, but they do the job. That's for the cast, for the drop. You can even set these up to be left-handed. Just case in point, they don't make a left-handed Supersport, but there are options available for left-handed jet Benelli models. Extended Creo chokes, we've not got a full complement in this gun, but like I said, they are quite long. Again, really good chokes. You know, when you've been around guns as long as I have and you pick up a product, you can get a feel for it straight away. I believe that these are made by an Italian manufacturer for Benelli, but really good quality, solid chokes. You know, pick up some chokes, you think, oh, I could crush that with my bare hands. Not with these bad boys. Book of words. It's a good booklet. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, and it does actually give you a lot of actual information. You get some little warranty booklets that give you next to nothing with certain models and manufacturers. Benelli have really gone to town. So a lot of useful diagrams, particularly about the cast and the drop. It tells you what each shim will do in terms of offering you what dimensions when you put it in. So you'd have to spend all day buggering around with your socket set trying to get it right. There's a lot of information in this book. Warranty, we talked about it already. Massive 10 years here in the UK. Used to be 5, but now it's 10. We've got the Creo barrel system book, which tells you all about the cryogenically freezing and what it does in terms of the compression on the metal and how the molecules react to that. That's also clever reading, a bit of science in there. Bit more about exploded diagrams, trigger units, etc. So basically all the bump you'd expect. As standard, you would get 5 chokes. There's currently only 3 with this. We're waiting on the other 2 chokes to come in. And obviously we've got the creme de la creme. We've got the inertia driven system sticker. Now you can put that on the back of your Toyota Prius. You can put it on your skeet vest. You can put it on your fridge. But do put it somewhere, because they've gone to a lot of effort to produce that sticker for Benelli. So there you go. That is, without a doubt, one of the most popular competition semi-autos currently available in the UK. If you haven't shot one of these, I would definitely urge you to go and try one. They are an excellent tool. All weather, you can go out whenever you want. From a cleaning and maintenance point of view, they are just zero maintenance. Benellis, particularly Raffaello, you can get inside it, you can clean as meticulously as you want to. But ultimately, if you don't want to clean it at all, you haven't, and it will just carry on working. If you've got any questions about this particular gun, please do contact me directly. Details are on the screen. Don't forget to check out the website. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because it does help us to bring you fantastic content like this. From me, the Benelli Supersport, maintenance free. Don't hose it down. See you next time.